Welcome to the Rams post-game show here on House of Horns. My name is Victor Corona, aka Victor Producer, and look who we have in the house today. We got Gilbert Manzano. He was able to watch this game from his house, so we got him on. Gilbert, just give me your takeaways. I know I don't have a lot of time with you here, so just give me your takeaways from this uh tale of two halves from the Rams. They didn't look good in the first half, and then in the second half they just turned it on. So just give me your takeaways from this 26-9 win by the Rams over the Cardinals.
Yeah, Vic, I had to make sure to stop and make time for House of Horns because that was a pretty good win. Well, second half was a pretty good win, and I'll start there. Like you mentioned, a tale of two halves, and I kept telling myself, when are they going to start using Kyren Williams? Keep feeding Kyren Williams, and we keep telling you guys on House of Horns, every time the Rams feed Kyren Williams, they tend to win the games. In Seattle, it wasn't the biggest stat line, but they kept feeding Kyren Williams, and eventually it broke out the game in various ways. Indianapolis, overtime, Kyren Williams had a monster game that day as well. And here we are again, Kyren Williams, a second-year running back. That touchdown that he had in the second half, where like there was like a debate about a fumble. I'm like, no way that was a fumble. And he's
No.
like, pushing guys off of him, breaking tackles. Like this guy's a machine out there. And when you got that touchdown, I'm like, okay, this is for sure a lead back. No way, Sean McVay, can you keep forgetting about Kyren Williams? And I'm not saying he's forgetting about it. I just did. But be more mindful of feeding him. I know you have so many weapons with Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, but when you set the tone with the ground game, it really leads to a lot for the way this offense is built. And yeah, you didn't need a lot from Puka Nacua or Tutu Atwell. I worry about Cooper Kupp being, kind of the dominant star and getting all the targets, but you get Kyren Williams involved, it tends to lead to good things. And I could keep raving about Kyren, Vic, but that's the thing I keep going back to for this win against the Cardinals.
Yeah, I mean, and you're right on point with it because they were 0-5 on third down. Here, let me get this comment by Daniel Calderon because it'll lead right into it. I mean, it was a bleak first that looked like a bleak the first half, like from Daniel Calderon, and he's spot on there because as I was just about to get into, the Rams were 0-5 on third down, and they ran the ball only, I think, 3 to 4 times. One of them was called back, so it didn't really count. It was on a penalty, and you're not going to win games that way. The other thing I was looking at, they showed a graphic during the game where it says in the two wins, the Rams this season they rush 38 times. When
Mm.
they lose, it's 16 times, and they average about 128 yards in the two wins, and in the losses is 71. And I understand when you fall behind, you need to throw the ball a lot more. But I the refusal by Sean McVay to run the ball, just it's mind blowing, Gilbert. I don't understand. I get it. You're really good with your 11 personnel, but you need to feature your running game. And I think he continues to get away with it, and then go away from it, and it almost cost them here. They
Yeah.
got lucky that, just like we talked about when we did the preview, that the Cardinals usually fade in the second half, and they did that, but it was just honestly, like, if they don't do that in the second half and they don't get it together. I mean, they opened up with a nine plays in a row in the second half for 62 yards before they got that touchdown to Cooper Kupp, so that saved their bacon, Gilbert.
Yeah, I wanted to go back and look at the difference between the wins and losses with the Russian attack. And when I went back to week one for the Seattle game, which feels like a long time ago now, uh, I saw the 42 carries. I think it was somewhere in the 40s. I'm okay, that makes sense. And then I saw 92 rushing yards. I'm like, I thought it was a lot more. And it shouldn't be all about the total rushing yard. It's like how a balanced attack opens up everything. And like that game in Seattle, they kept wearing down their opponent. And when you do that, you open up the passing game for Stafford. And unless, opportunities for Stafford to get hit with such a banged up offensive line. And Stafford did a good job today. It was kind of just a quiet first half. But when I saw that 40 carries, and you brought up that stat now, the difference of how many times they run the ball, I'm like, okay, that makes sense. And then in Indianapolis, I think it was like they ran for like 162 yards. So there's a trend here, and I know with the forgetting for long stretches to give the ball to Kyren Williams is frustrating a lot of Rams fans. But when they came out in the second half, I'm like, it's only a 9-6 game. I know it was a dismal first half for the offense, but set the tone, and they did that right away. And when you notice there was times they're running the ball with Kyren Williams, but there's other times they were doing the 2-2 motions back and forth. Where like it could be a pass play or it could be a run play, and when you have that type of kind of mixed balance, you never know what's going to come at you. So Tutu got his touches a couple times, and then just Kyren kept going and going. You know, obviously you want to see more Puka involved, but like when you're getting the wins and you're being balanced, who cares? And now the thing, Vic, moving forward is I don't know if you caught the McVay presser. I didn't get a chance. I had to watch the Jets game.
Yeah,
That's
right.
off my whole post game show here because the Jets surprised everybody with the win against the Eagles. But I saw Kyren Williams left with an ankle injury. Anything we should be worried about?
No, he said he should be good to go. I
Okay,
saw a couple of quotes from a couple of people, and he said that he should be ready to go. It doesn't sound like it's going to
okay,
be anything bad.
yeah,
And just to just to continue on with what Kyren Williams did today, I think he finished with 158 yards. I mean, that's what you want from him, And then Matthew Stafford, 21 of 37 for 222 yards. Like that was the other thing too. Like getting Cooper Cup involved was really important here. I know that Puka Nacua, now that Cooper Cup is back, isn't as involved, but he missed a couple of catches there where it could have,
yeah. The
he could have
touchdown.
caught a touchdown there as well. So that could have probably changed things for him. But outside of that, the important thing, as you talked about, and we said, you need to get right here. You need to put teams away, and they did that in the second half. And then one more thing, before we get to the next thing, I just want to talk about this. We need edge opposite Young. Young looks great. This is a comment from Daniel Calderon, and I'll say this: the defense did a good job. They forced 2 turnovers that led to 10 points. So and I think his name is Oshawn Mathis. He's starting to play a little bit more. They also elevated Marquise Copeland, so that was another good thing to
Oh,
see. I don't think you're gonna see them going and trading for anybody at this point. I think they're just gonna try and use the resources that they have from within. But I would be shocked. I mean, there's guys you can go and get in the middle, like for middle round picks, but I just don't see them spending a first or a second round pick. I don't know what you think about
yeah.
that, Gilbert.
We mentioned it earlier this week on the channel here about Danielle Hunter, and it's like it depends on how much it costs you, and then if you get Daniel Hunter, yeah, I can help you right now to make a playoff run, but like, are you really gonna? Maybe I shouldn't say this part. You're really gonna compete with the 49ers and the Eagles, who just lost today, so you
Yeah.
never know. So that's a reminder there. But I think Daniel Hunter could be an affordable cost where you can still keep your first round pick, and then he's not the oldest player. He still has a lot of football left. So you want to make a deal with Kevin O'Connell again and the GM over there. He could be an addition there to go opposite, Byron Young, and maybe that could be something you could build off the future there too. Uh, but again, like I don't see them going after Brian Burns again because I can't believe a year ago they're willing to give 2 first round picks and just pretty much say, hey, we want to win right now, and then ignore all the holes in your roster. I think they've changed their mindset, but I know we're kind of getting off track there. And I just want to say, moving forward for this team right now, this roster, they got to start having 2 halves. They got to have play well first half, second half, and that's why I'm not trying to say that I'm gonna be braggy here, Vic, but that's why I went the under in this game because I did
Yes,
not
you called
trust.
it. Yeah.
I did
Yeah.
not trust his Rams offense. I know they're playing the Cardinals, but I got to see more consistency. 4 quarters, and ever since that, maybe I shouldn't point the blame at that cold second half. They haven't scored as many points in that second half, but the Bengals game week before that also was pretty bad. But that first half in the Colts game was great. The Eagles kind of so the first half, but it's always one half, second half, and this week has been the second half. So when you play the Steelers, who have a good defense, all right, let's see 4 quarters now, and maybe they finally figure out when you get Kyren involved early, it just opens up everything.
Yeah, and you know who kept them in this game was Jonah Williams with those. What did he have? I think he had 2 sacks and four. I think it was 4 tackles for loss in the first half. I mean, he came out of nowhere, but a lot of it has to do with scheme. They did a good job with that. But I don't want to take too much of your time because I know you got to get to the Sunday night game. So I just give me your final thoughts on this. Like they're 3-3 at this point. In the season, which is what we kind of said. If you're going to have a positive season or even try to make the playoffs, you need to, get out of here with you need at the 6 game mark, you need to be 3-3. They're 3-3 right now,
Yeah.
Gilbert. What are you, where are you at with this Rams team after 6 games?
Yeah, they're on pace to what I was saying before the season started. And it's funny, I just watched Robert Saleh say, we've embarrassed all the quarterbacks we've played, this murderous role of quarterbacks because the Jets had a hard schedule. The Rams had a hard schedule too. And I'm like, okay, you're 3-3, just like the Jets. Like when you're 500 at this point, you're in the race. You're a playoff contender. You have life. So they are definitely overachievers, and they've done well with this gauntlet of a schedule. Now finish out this homestand with the Steelers, who did they have a bye week, Vic? I'm blank. I think they have a bye week because I don't remember them playing today at all.
Yeah,
Uh,
they had a bye week this week, so they're
okay.
coming off a bye.
So they could be fresh, but this is not a team that scores points at will. So let's see what this defense is about. I like the defense; they've been very impressive, and that's why I keep taking unders when they play the when the Rams games are involved. And I keep seeing all these 50-point game totals. I'm like, is there no respect here for Raheem Morris? I like the defense, and yeah, we haven't seen much of Michael Hoyt, and you need another edge rusher. You need to see more from Kobe Durant, but this scheme, I know it's not like the most creative. We expected a little more blitzes and all, but they're just saying you're not gonna beat us on the field. And I know it's the Cardinals, but the Cardinals have scored points on people, and they hold them to 9 points. They didn't score in the second half, right? It was all
No,
unanswered points.
the Rams scored 23 unanswered points. They got down, I think it was 9-3, and then they kicked that field goal. And that was another big play by Cooper Kupp, that 49-yard catch, and then that put them in field goal range. Like they didn't have that many positive yards. It was ugly for the Rams offense until they came out of the second half running the ball, and I think they just, McVay finally decided, you know what, I'm going to run the ball, and that's what kind of turned the game around for them.
Yeah, and all in with this, like it feels like they're on the level of the Steelers. The Steelers have a talented team, and I'm like, okay, this offense has another potential to keep unlocking because they have more talent in the defense. So who knows? Maybe eventually this Kyren Williams thing will open up the passing game where it is like, high flying with Puka and Tutu and Cooper Cup. Like I don't like this force feeding Cooper thing. I know Stafford's familiar with him, and I know the offensive line's kind of always changing, but eventually, if they settle down and you're able to kind of spread it out and just keep people on their toes, like that's gonna pay off. And that's kind of maybe the exciting part for Rams fans. Like, there's another gear here for the offense. Just like keep feeding Kyren Williams, make him your focal point, and things will be okay. And I think the defense just scheme wise, like they figure something out. There's a formula there, and maybe your guys are too young to do a little more, and you're just playing it safe right now. But when you play a team like the Steelers, they're good enough on both sides of the football to win that game because they're both kind of clunky offenses, ball control, time possession. But I will rather take the Rams offense right now than the Steelers offense. And obviously the Steelers defense has more talented, but that's kind of the preview. But what I'm trying to get at is they're right there. They're in the race. They're in the middle. And if they get that one, they're 4-3. Like Vic, I hadn't even looked at the schedule after that because I wanted to see what they do here with the home game or the 3 home game stand to see what they do. And they're right there, but like you want to see more. And next week we'll see what they do. But very impressed with the defense. Finally, some Kyren Williams love, and let's see if McVay sticks to it. And the thing I'm more intrigued about, also not the mostly intrigued, is we'll see how Puka and Cooper develop because so far it hasn't been like the best at the same time.
Yeah, and that'll be work in progress as you talked about. I know they have the Steelers and the Cowboys coming up soon, but those are, we'll see what the Cowboys look like on Monday night. But in terms of looking ahead, at least you're 3-3 right now, and you're in a good spot right now where you're in contention for a wild card where you can fight for one. So, and I'll get to some of the comments, but Gilbert, I just want to say thank you. I know we were on short notice here trying to get as much much content out to the people, but I'll stay on here. But thank you
Nice.
so much for joining and jumping on for about 15 minutes or so.
Yeah, no, I'm glad to be on here to give you my 2 cents. But Victor, you're holding it down. You got all the facts, you got all the nuggets, and
Mm,
don't be shy. Ask your questions. And Daniel Calderon holding it down right now. But more
good.
comments would be amazing. But I'll see you guys later in the week.
All right, Gilbert, have a good one. All right, guys. So as we were talking about, and I'll get to the comments from Daniel Calderon, and he asked about Chase Young. And now, with the Commanders winning, that kind of, it's going to be it's going to be interesting because they're not going to be able to pay. The Commanders aren't going to be able to pay all those linemen that they have, and so one of the things that'll be interesting is if they end up moving Chase Young, because I don't think they're going to get much for him at this point, because they can't pay Chase Young and Sweat at the same time, so they're going to have to. And then with the injury concerns that you've seen from Chase Young, that's been one of the things that I think if they could get something for him, they'll try. I know there's people that have talked about the compensation pick, but the compensation picks you don't get for till 2025. And if you're the Commanders, do you want to wait that long for it? So that's another thing. We'll see what happens as we approach the trade deadline. But um, in terms of this game, as we talked about, it was an ugly first half for the Rams, and it was kind of hard to watch just because what you know that Sean McVay can do a lot better, and to see them fall behind 9-3 and then 9-6 and going into the half, you knew that things needed to turn around. And I think this is the first second half where they played really well outside of the Seattle game. And so that was, committing to the run was important, as Gilbert talked about. And then the defense just forcing 2 turnovers, and that led to 10 points. I thought that was really important. um, and getting that chemistry, going with Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. Tutu Atwell, I think Tutu Atwell had like 1 or 2 catches. They need to get everybody else involved. It's great to see the connection with Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford, but you don't want to rely a lot on that. And then also just continue to run the ball, because that was, when you get that, what was it, that 9 play uh drive, for 62 yards, and then that leads to that 13-yard pass to Cooper Kupp for the touchdown. That's the kind of stuff you want to see, especially from Sean McVay. But it's been hard to see. They needed, as Gilbert right before he left talked about. You want to see more consistency from this team, because you've only seen uh, them play either the first half really well, but then the second half they don't play as well. They need a full fourth quarters um, game, and that'll be something where that this team is growing, and so far that's part of the growing pains. As we talked about with this team, you're gonna have a lot of growing pains just because of that, because you have the fourth youngest team in the NFL right now, and he's gonna continue to coach him up, and that'll be part of the things that you're gonna see from this team, and it's gonna be frustrating, along the way, unfortunately. But yeah, and as Witherspoon has played as a cornerback one, as Daniel Calderon says, it's true. He's been a great signing for the Rams. It's been great to see. Darian Kendrick did not, mess the game up for the Rams in this game. He played really well. The defense, they've continued to stay solid. As Gilbert said, Raheem Morris deserves a lot of credit. I know on the broadcast they were talking about that Raheem Morris is gonna, be up for a job come this offseason, and rightfully so. He's done a great job. I know a lot of Ram fans have not been a big fan of his, just because of how frustrating it's been. But as we talked about this season, now that he has his players, the way he's been able to run his scheme the way he wants it, and so we've seen the difference now that he has players that and being able to run the things um the way he wants to run his defense. So outside of that was the defense has looked good. There's not much I can say about that. They haven't been the problem. I think the frustration with a lot of this Rams team this season has been with the offense and the way Sean McVay refuses to run the ball. And until he just decides, you know what, I'm gonna set up the run. I'm gonna use the run to set up the passing game. I think you're gonna see a lot of ups and downs and a lot of frustration from Ram fans, and rightfully so. But that's all I have for you guys today. Take this win, enjoy it. As we said, if they're the NFL is hard, as you saw the 2 upsets. You saw um, Cleveland beating the San Francisco 49ers, which nobody saw, and then the same thing with the Eagles losing to the Jets. You wanted to make sure you got this one. This was your get right game. You did that. You accomplished that. Yeah, the first half sucked, but you move on now. You're 3-3, and you now you look forward to the Steelers, who are coming in off a bye week, and you turn the biz, but enjoy it. Like, take this Sunday night, watch the game on Sunday night, and then watch the Monday night game, and enjoy this win, because wins are hard to come by in the NFL, and especially when you have a young roster. You did what you needed to do, and you just move on, and you enjoy this win. And I know it's hard. Like, we always think about the losses, because those are the ones that stick with us. But when you beat a team that you're supposed to, and you do it, by almost 2 touchdowns, you take that and you move on, and you say, you know what, we're gonna enjoy this win, and then we will start previewing the next matchup, which is the Steelers, as we talked about. So Gilbert and I will be back on Wednesday to preview that. Since he hopped on, we won't do a recap tomorrow. There's no reason to do that. So please send in your comments. Let us know. We'll get to it. Shout out to Daniel Calderon. He's always on the comments there, and giving us his feedback. We really appreciate that. To everybody else, continue to support us. We really enjoy that. And then, for those who have checked out the preview, that Gilbert has been giving out some Easter eggs. So keep an eye on that. If you might be entered to win a certain player's jersey. I won't give away who it is, but you guys have pretty much figured out who is going to be. So please stay continue, send in your comments, and we'll get to them. But enjoy this win. It was a nice win for the Rams. As we talked about, they're hard to come by. But that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you guys for listening and watching this episode of House of Horns. Have a good rest of your weekend, and once again, enjoy this win, Ram fans.